Mochi Health is a long-term weight loss solution personalized to fit your unique needs and goals. Meet one-on-one with board-certified obesity doctors and registered dietitians who are on a mission to listen. Eligible patients can access custom-formulated GLP-1 medications at an affordable, set price and get them delivered to their home each month. No insurance required. FSA and HSA accepted. With 24/7 customer service available, Mochi Health is here to partner with you on your journey to a healthier life. Take the free quiz at joinmochi.com and use code AUDIO40 at checkout for $40 off your first month of membership. That's joinmochi.com.
Oh my God.
Say that.
That's all I'm going to say.
Say it
oh
again.
My God.
Say it one more time.
Oh, I know. It's Rulaska Thoughts.
Cue the fucking sniper girl.
That voice you heard talking under the music was the voice of the very talented, the very handsome Mr. Roberto Mata, coming to us live from West Hollywood, California. I'm Joe Batance. Welcome to Rulaska Thoughts for All Stars 10, Episode 10, titled All Stars Tournament. Tournament of All Stars Snatch Game. It was a very long title. And Robert's already warned me that he has some very contrarian opinions for this episode. But before we get into that, once again, we have this show called Just Between Us Girls. And actually, there's no way I could have recorded the 35-minute conversation Robert and I had today off the air. But sometimes on Just Between Us Girls, it can be like that. It do be like that.
It does be like that sometimes.
Well, you know what? This latest Just Between Us Girls was 38 minutes. It was close. So you're going to want to go to patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia or download the Patreon app, sign up for free. And I'm going to tell you something. I actually have not talked to Robert about this, but I will say the listener, Nami Harder, has shared his Google Drive folder for the season 2 Untucked with me. So I already have it in my possession. Robert, you already own it, right?
Yes, sir.
So Robert and I just now need to get on when we're going to start season 2.
Are we going to do main season and Untucked or just Untucked? Because I'm down to do both.
Both.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Robert's talking about a show that never got released. Robert and I talked about doing a show that was just about the early Untucked episodes. No. That's not what this is. This is going to be both because I've never covered season 2 ever. We only officially have 2 seasons we haven't covered. 2 and 1. I've already said season 3 we did cover, but I kind of want to redo. But that can wait because at least it's been covered. But the season 2, season 1 are the only ones we haven't covered. And that'll be coming to your earwaves pretty soon. All right, why don't we do this? Why don't we just get that out of the way, because especially we're limited time. Why don't we take a break right here, and when we come back, I can't wait to hear Robert's opinions. And I have some new opinions about who's suing who, and yeah, all that. And and a big rant, even though it's come up before, but okay, another hint. I have a new rant. Well, an addendum rant to Michelle's stupid Marie Antoinette rant from a couple weeks ago. Anyway, we'll be back right after this.
On average, you'll have to wait 31 days to see an OBGYN. And if you're dealing with an infection or outbreak, you know you need care fast. That's where WISP comes in. Connect with a U.S. licensed provider online and pick up safe, effective treatment at your local pharmacy that same day. Plus, get birth control and more delivered in all 50 states. Take control with comprehensive sexual and reproductive care, all from your phone. WISP. That's hellowisp.com. The waiting room can wait.
Meet the most capable CRV Honda has ever dreamed of. The all-new CR-V Trail Sport Hybrid. With all-terrain tires and available enhanced traction control, it's built for wherever the day takes you. Heated front seats and a heated steering wheel, ideal for winter drives and crisp early starts. And with generous cargo space, it's ready for big gear and even bigger getaways. The CR-V Trail Sport Hybrid. Learn more at honda.com/CRV.
Hit pause on whatever you're listening to and hit play on your next adventure. Stay 2 nights and get a $50 Best Western gift card. Life's a trip. Make the most of it at Best Western. Visit bestwestern.com for complete terms and conditions.
We are back. Now, like I said, I have a lot of things to say, but that's not what this show is about. I might change the name back to RulaskaThoughts because the Ro stands for Robert. Is Roberto Mata. Let's actually break this down because you have some thoughts. Let's actually be organized about this. So. I'm just going to very briefly, even because there wasn't a Quick Drag this weekend. For people who were like, I know there were tons of people who were wondering where Quick Drag was, and yet nobody wrote to me. It was my birthday.
Wait, then how did you know?
We do Quick Drag on Fridays. Yeah. Anyway, it was so quick it didn't exist. But let's go through this. Let's start at the beginning. The girls come in, and they go on the main stage, and Rue and Michelle pretend to talk to them. And then they just tell them the regular rules are back in place. Any big thoughts there?
Well, I'm a pretty strong advocate of the workroom entrances. I absolutely love when they come in and the show sets up all these storylines between queens. You're never quite sure if the harsh cuts between shade means that there's going to be a storyline between those queens in the future. So on a rewatch, it always makes it a lot more fun. And I just love watching that part of the show. So when I saw that they were going back on the main stage, which obviously they spent a lot of money on, but quite frankly, I think this season we spent way too much goddamn time on the main stage. I thought I was not going to like it, but seeing the 9 elevated queens return in a slight way that harkens back to, say, that episode in UK season 2 when they came back after COVID, kind of like general all-star moment where you're seeing an immediate glow up from episode to episode. I loved it. I actually want to give kudos to production for that because for some reason it felt like it elevated the stakes and made it feel like an event. And I didn't expect to feel that way because I normally prefer to see the workroom entrances.
Yeah, but okay. They didn't, it would make no sense for them to, in the UK season 2 COVID break, it made no sense for them to ignore the break.
Yeah.
But I hate when this show does not acknowledge reality and lives in this alternate reality where it's like, it's the next week, but also 2 people lost over 100 pounds in that week. Yeah. It's been a very short time, but yet they've lost over 100 pounds. And so that's the part that bugs me. Like, just acknowledge it's been months.
I think being a super fucking nerdy fan of this show and spend way too much time sometimes seeing how the sausage is made, I think I appreciate the fact that I know that it's been 6-7 months and therefore my expectations are that things are going to be better for it. But I guess I wonder how the show would have said that. How would they have prepared the audience for that?
I don't know, because there is, and people might, the people who listen to this show are people who are at least somewhat tuned in.
Yeah.
Right? But if you go on Reddit, you'll see a bunch of dummies on there, right? And not all the time, but you will occasionally, more than you would think, see someone who thinks the show is filmed in real time.
I love them.
So, yeah, those are my favorites, where they're like, what did I just see? Oh, I just saw this the other day, where they're like, well, I think we can see that Ginger wins because she had 3 weeks of gigs in July and now they're canceled.
Okay.
And you're like, what is that? What does one have to do with the show coming back? She clearly does well. And I'm like, Oh, do you think? Because the 3 weeks coincided with the airing of the semifinals.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, she thinks this is happening now. She thinks that Ginger's not going to these gigs because she's on All Stars. So, yeah. And so I wonder what it means for them when they're like, just last week, Ginger was a big fat meatball, and now she's a meatball. So, and by the way, people should know too, Ginger and Mistress have continued to lose weight, and they are much thinner now than even when they filmed this back in like, what was it, March or April?
I think are April-ish.
Yeah. So, okay, so that's your thoughts there. All right, so now let's move on. They go into the workroom, and immediately Mistress is like, they're like all chit-chatty, and Mistress is like, my bracket's gonna come over here. And then they go over to another room, but the rest of the girls are like, okay. And then they just talk among themselves. Mistress and her group isolate themselves. And everything that happened in the workroom, including prepping their characters and the table visits and everything before the Snatch Game. Any thoughts there?
Well, I did note, and I think it dovetails from what you just said, the very first thing that was said in that workroom is Mistress taking control of the social environment and saying, look, everyone, my tracksuit's skinnier. I love that. Like calling attention to the weight loss journey. And
yeah,
I feel like I'm going to start already. I don't mean to be the friend that's too woke on this, but I guess I just hate the way that this show frequently frames weight loss as like the end all be all. Oh my God, you look beautiful. You look amazing. You're incredible. It's so great that you did that. It particularly mostly comes from RuPaul and Michelle, actually. The way that they speak about it, it's never you were beautiful then, you're beautiful now. It's always, oh wow, I can see that the real version of yourself is emerging and you're a better person for going through it. And the edit of this episode was constantly hitting on that same exact beat. And obviously, what do my thoughts matter about it? Because I don't fortunately struggle with my weight in that direction. So maybe I have absolutely no place to even talk about it, but I don't love the way that if someone watching it and does feel uncomfortable with their weight only sees effusive praise like sort of thrown upon people who have lost the weight. To me, it just seems so weird.
It is, but I'm going to have a complicated, difficult conversation with you about this. And before I say a fucking word, okay? Before I say one fucking word, I'm going to say two things. One, I'm a big fucking meatball right now, especially. And I must be eating like a pig because I walk 10,000 steps a day at work, plus, and I'm still a big fucking meatball. Two, if you look, you know when people have their phones out in their photo gallery and they, let's say, maybe you have this, they try and like hide it because their dick is right there, so they don't want people to see that,
Yeah, I may have opened Twitter in incorrect places with incorrect content once or twice, or my own salacious photos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's how I am with Instagram. But because when you go into the search bar on Instagram, it shows you what, like basically like an algorithm showing you what they think you might search for. And it's nothing but skinny, basic white boys. Okay? That's the whole, where's my phone?
I don't need to see it. I truly believe you.
I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you, Robert, because I'm going to say some ugly things. Okay? And I need to look. Oh yeah, look at this. Look at this. Right?
There it is.
There it is. And for some reason, the supermarket aisle, I don't understand. So,
well, yeah, what are they picking out there?
I don't know.
It's Japanese. Like my status feed, like Japanese shit.
And the reason I say this is to show the dichotomy here of the fact that you're right, but, and there's one thing to say the right thing and maybe even believe the right thing, but then put that thing into practice.
All right.
And so like what I'm saying, and I'm not, the reason I said everything about myself right now is we can't change who we're physically attracted to. Maybe we can, but as far as I know, you can't.
We can try bit by bit.
We can try, But like, I don't see you dating any fat pigs.
Do you have any idea how many times in college, in West Hollywood, in my life in Los Angeles, because I do tend to like people with meat on their bones, I've been called a chubby chaser, and that it's clear that I don't love myself enough because I will be with people who I don't think, like, people will tell me that you shouldn't be with that person. You're better than that. Do you have like low self-esteem because you see other people? And I'm like, no, that's not at all what I don't.
I have never heard you say this hot guy is attractive, and it's like the guy from the vampire show. What's his name?
Harvey Guillen, is it?
Yeah.
Well, when have we ever talked about him? I do think there's
Harvey
a cuteness
Guillen,
to him.
Would you sleep with Harvey Guillen?
I don't know, because he's just like one of my cousins.
That's the thing that comes up, yeah.
Which sounds like I'm just looking for a way out of the question. But no, I guess that to me, I think that, like I said, about the West Hollywood of it, the college gay of it, the, I don't know, certain circles of snooty bitches that I run around with sometimes, I have constantly been on the receiving end of people telling me that I am wrong for having a broader perspective, pun definitely not intended, about like what I think is physically attractive. I like huskier guys typically. Like, for instance, like, like one of the guys is that I always harken back to is Josh Hutcherson. He's not muscular. He's not thin. He's not big, massive, struggling with, a ton of issues. But as far as the very narrow perspective of what people think muscle gays and WeHo should be attracted to, I'm constantly having to face, oh, you must hate yourself because you think that's cute.
Yes, because, it reminds me of, people, and I appreciate it. Afterthoughts will send me thirst trap pictures or whatever of this David Archuleta, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I was like, I would, yes, 100% have sex with David Archuleta in a heartbeat. If you're being objective, and I know all the gays in West Hollywood thirst over him and everything like that, if that fool would walk in and he wasn't quote unquote David Archuleta,
mm-hmm.
they would not pay him no mind. Not that he would be ugly or anything like that, but he wouldn't be the quote unquote thirst trap that he is. He is such.
No, I think he'd be another face in the crowd.
He looks like one of our cousins who's, an okay looking guy in his 30s.
Yeah.
He is very whatever. He looks at the guy who fixes your car at the mobile gas station down the street.
Then does he text you the next day, Happy July 4th?
No, that guy is... that guy also, though, what would be whatever at any sort of West Hollywood thing or something, right? But he has the tall, skinny thing that I like, So anyway... but go ahead with your thought.
No, that's really my thought is
you're
that
a chubby
I feel
chaser.
Like,
Robert Mata, chubby chaser.
I think that there's such a deeply, deeply hateful rhetoric that is thrown at people who are. I just think the concept of the term chubby chaser is so dehumanizing and so fucking vicious and cruel, and I don't understand why we have to treat people like that. And I realize I'm coming from an emotional place this week because I've been through some stuff recently, but it's grinded my gears since the first time I heard it at the fucking dining hall at 11 p.m. and the first group of gays I ever had. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it could go back to relating to the show. You're completely right. There is something about the way it's like, because there's a problem with the show is because it's forced to speak out of both sides of its mouth, which is 2 weeks ago on the show, 3 weeks ago, depending on when their bracket was, they were like, you're big, you're beautiful, you're a star. Then months pass, but only a week for us. And they're like, oh my God, you lost 150 pounds. You're so beautiful now. You're so blah, 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 blah. And you're like, oh, wait, was I not before?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I remember this one, I think it was Tempest to Shore. I can't remember, but there was a workroom visit with RuPaul at some certain point in time where she was like, oh yeah, I went through like this awful conversion therapy and then I lost 300 pounds and life was so hard. And then RuPaul was like, you lost 300 pounds? Like,
well, anyone who listens to the podcast knows that RuPaul is obsessed with a few things. One, people losing a lot of weight. And
obsessed. It's weird.
How to memorize lines, right? That was always the thing.
Yeah.
Whenever she had an actor on, she'd be like, how do you memorize all those lines? Every question, every movie
I don't know, maybe read them 5 times and repeat them in the shower. Come on.
Also, people, they don't do this like a play. They film like a minute or 2 at a time. And you have all this time in the trailer and stuff like that. It's not that hard. Okay. So a play, yeah, I could see like that would be hard, memorize a whole fucking play. But
can you do this 1 minute scene? This is the only thing you have to do scripted for the next week. And she's like, oh,
yeah, and they know what pages they're filming that day and everything. Yeah. It's funny. Anyway, so yes, there is that sort of weird thing where they have to tell Ginger and Mistress, oh, you look so much more beautiful. But then it's like, well, then what were they before? But I was thinking about what I talked about earlier about, when you lose the weight, now the competition changes. And I thought of a better metaphor would be, and I want to hear you weigh in on this, is more like changing tax brackets. That when you're in like a lower tax bracket and then you just make a few dollars more, but it boosts you up to a different tax bracket. So in a weird kind of way, you're probably making less, because your tax bracket is higher. And
I mean, technically speaking, that's not true, but yes, I know what you mean.
I don't know how money works, but my life evidence shows. But it's true. I'm not good with money. Even with this mechanic you're talking about, he's all into making money, and I'm like, that's a whole other topic of conversation. But like,
I'll save the tax conversation for April 14th.
All right, thank you. So anyway, but the point is now you're in a different bracket, so to speak, for this series, in that now you have to compete, but you're not quite at that level. So it's like they're in this weird in between. They don't have the handicap that they used to have.
What you spoke about with Taylor rang true to me, which is that there is a certain estimation of your abilities based on the body that you're presented. And that's why when Latrice does a, split, everyone's like, oh shit, we didn't realize that you'd be able to do that. And that's where the sense of awe comes from, unfortunately. And, seeing Naomi Smalls do it is less effective because you would assume that she's more limber. And then now Mistress and Isabel Brooks, Mistress and Ginger, the expectations have changed because their body has changed. And that's kind of weird because they're still the same queen.
Yeah. But now they have to elevate. I think you could get away with doing a lot less when you're fatter. And, and now they have to do more. And it's like, oh, can they? I remember at the season 6 finale. I don't know if you know this, Robert, but starting with season 6, I went to every finale.
Oh, I've never heard this once.
During the pre-show, they had Latrice come out and do that one song. She was like, you're ugly, but I'm fat and I can lose weight. Or I don't know what the name of the song is. And at the end, yeah, she did a full-on pussy slam on the stage. And then they clearly knew they were filming this because then the camera cut or whatever. And then they had 2 people come out on the stage and help her up because she couldn't stand up on her own.
I've seen Latrice live and she has always gotten up on her own damn ability.
Well, not
I
in
don't know
season
what's
6
happening there.
Era. Not even season 6 era. This is in 2000 whatever.
13.
She's lost some weight.
Or I guess actually season 6 was 14.
Yeah. Anyway, Okay, so we covered that. Okay, but we haven't even gotten to Snatch Game yet. Let's go to the Snatch Game where you said you have some very controversial thoughts.
Well, I don't know that they're controversial as much as the
They better
fact
be.
that I watched this episode in isolation. I watched it without looking at any of the conversations on Reddit, on Twitter,
Robert
on Instagram.
was at Alligator Alcatraz this weekend. He got it all cleared up. But that's what
I don't know
happened.
how I'm expected to respond to that. Don't make me get on my social justice pedestal, girl. I watched it alone, looking forward to watching it because I'd been looking forward to seeing the three groups merge. And as far as I was concerned, I fucking lived. I loved it. I loved the storylines that were already building towards that were actually continuing. I question the setup as Ginger as the hero and Mistress as the villain dynamic that they're setting up. I enjoyed the several callbacks to people's previous Snatch Games and where we were leading and how are they going to elevate? Are we going to elevate as a group? And I think my most controversial opinion is I didn't hate the Snatch Game. I went online for this, see what the socials were saying yesterday, and oh my God, it seems like people fucking despised it. And I don't think I hated it like that. I think I can see objectively that it wasn't the most phenomenal display of talent we've ever seen, but I know that I was laughing my ass off at Georges. I know that I loved Cynthia's Dracula. I could see why Ginger's Reba won. Zsa Zsa Gabor was a fun time, even though I think she should have gotten more screen time. And also, I also love always seeing Raja. Yes, because I always found her name to be just ridiculous. And I would then click on the Wikipedia article because I'm like, who the fuck is that? So I did know who
And you knew about the slap.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So yeah, no, the note that should have been in the Snatch Game was, I concur.
And in fairness, just to even jump on what you just said, it may have been and was cut for time. So in fairness to whoever played Zsa Zsa, was it Irene? Irene may have put a joke in about the slap and we just didn't see it.
I think another point is that a lot of people are kind of coming on to Aja's performance and saying she did awful. And I watched it twice. I watched it first, like I said, in isolation. Then I watched it second without, or now knowing what people thought about it. So I was watching it, stroking my chin. They didn't give Aja any screen time whatsoever. So I don't even know if she did actually bad.
But she seemed to think she did poorly. She was spiraling.
And of course I wasn't in the room, so I can't defend her. But I mean, and I told you this over text. You have asked me in the past, what Snatch Game character would you do? What do you think would be a good role? And I've always said that it confounds me how many fucking millennial gays have been on the show and no one's done Jane Lynch as Sue Sylvester. And I was so thrilled, even though I'm not a fan of Diabetti, but I was very happy that she chose that character and I was super excited to see it. And it was just so disappointing. It had no Sue Sylvester beyond the tracksuit and the stopwatch. It had absolutely no characterization. The look was pretty immaculate, I will give her that. But it was all very base, boring, like, look at me, I'm a lesbian jokes. And I just thought it was awful. It was like one of the biggest disappointments I've had, honestly, from a Snatch Game impersonation.
Well, first of all, it seems like Daya has like seasons 2 through 4 ideas of Snatch Game where they think the verisimilitude of how much they look like the character is what's going to get them by, which that has very little to do with it. And B is like, again, we talked about this in the show. There was a warning sign when she said she chose her because funny things happen around her and she's just going to hope for the best. And I'm like, that's not what she does. And B, even if it were, that's a very dangerous game to play because you can't guarantee funny things are going to happen around you.
It's lazy as shit to go into an improv and Snatch Game perspective and say, well, if things are good, then I'm going to be able to respond well to it. It's like, oh, okay, so your Jasmine Masters thinking that you can walk out on the All-Stars 4 fucking talent show and just randomly talk about how someone's breath smells like ass and you think that it's going to be hilarious in a stand-up setting.
Yeah, because they don't prepare. which is why my summer camp for drag queens, which I don't know if I'm running legal problem with this. I'm calling Drag U, is going to focus. It was change a lot of lives. What'd you say? What the fuck did you say about drag? What the fuck did you say about Drag U?
And believe it or not, Kennedy still won that challenge.
Oh, the season 7 one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why did they have her tie?
Well, so I think that the show was not ready to engage with the conversation about drag being like pangender and just it being about men impersonating women. So I think they wanted to give Kennedy the props for being super fucking bold and being the person to break that. And then also recognize that Ginger did do well as Adele.
Mm-hmm. My house.
Well,
I love that they didn't
last
show
week
that
I
clip.
said I've had enough of that one.
Speaking of,
that's what Cynthia should have said as Dracula when she said, "So where are you from in Transylvania?"
She should have said, "My house."
I think I would have lived.
I just a really quick point that I was thinking about today is Michelle saying she's done with people doing Marie Antoinette. Well, we're done with the stupid fucking hanger. I don't even know her,
That's for sure.
The stupid. I can't wait to see how this turns out.
Yes, I clocked that during the episode.
Carson
I knew you'd
Kressley.
hate that.
Have you ever had a hot dog? I've had a lot of sausage in my mouth. What's the question? Whatever that stupid thing is that they do all the time.
No, yeah, I've called that out for years.
Yeah, that years.
Yeah, I've only recently started to come around on Carson because at least he's better than everyone else.
Well, because also Carson, I will say this, of the main judges, including RuPaul, is the only one with the background in fashion to speak about it.
Yeah.
Michelle,
and then he'll say
singing,
shit like
sure.
Today he said, you know what? That reveal that you had bunched up behind you, it should have been better steamed. Like, to Aja, I think it was. I'm like, how is that physically possible?
Yeah, because we're not the Alexander McQueen New York Fashion Week where there's a person like a faggot with a steamer standing right before you go out steaming it for you. Carson.
Done with the steamer, usual.
Did you ever watch the original Queer Eye for the Straight Guy?
I think a couple episodes, but that was definitely coming out at a time that I could not be seen engaging with anything homosexual.
They did this thing. It was a weird thing that they had baked into the show. It's the equivalent of the hanger. I don't even know her. But whenever they would show a straight guy, they always showed like, this is what the straight guy does and we're going to fix him. And they'd show them videos. Always like, this is the brief you're getting before you meet them. And they'd show the guy, he'd be shaving and he would shave. And if people should know, I'm going from the bottom, my neck up to my chin, like moving it up. Like when he shaved like this, they would react. They would go like, and they would start screaming because he was going the wrong way against the grain. I'm like, I do that to this day. It doesn't hurt.
I do that to this day as well. I do it blindly in the shower.
Yeah, I go all directions. They acted like the man was hurting himself. I'm all, it doesn't hurt. And I don't know why you're doing that. And they did it every single episode. For some reasons was a thing that they were really against was you shaving in the wrong direction. And
I think it's time we retire the term old wives' tale and now accept old gays' tales, because I've heard the shaving direction thing several times and I've constantly rebuked it and I look great. Well, I look okay.
All right. I want to go in 500 different directions, but I'm running out of time and I want to get your thoughts.
I believe it. I know. I'm waiting for the prompt.
No, what's your next thought?
My next thought is that I love seeing Raja. I think I said that. What did you think about that Raven crowning moment? I know you and Taylor didn't talk about it on the air, so.
Again, going back with stupid ass fucking Reddit comments. Did you see this Reddit post? where it was like, did you guys catch that subtle joke about giving Raven the crown? And I was like, it was the opposite of subtle. It was actually quite on the nose. I thought it was fun. Look, it goes to what we said on the show, is that this Raven, they should just give Raven a crown. They act like the crowns mean something.
Yeah, no, the crown hasn't meant anything since Violet Chachki stole Sharon Needles.
You're right. They act like the time that these like that they act like this, like they're real queens. You know, it's just an award. You can give out as many as you want. No, they are, but you can. Look, okay. In All-Star 7, they made up a title of the queen who'd already done had hers is because they didn't want Raja to feel left out. Okay,
and
you can make up a whole fucking thing and just make you're just an all-star.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder why the show now for the second time has made it a point to celebrate Raven, like whereas King Tyra or King James or whatever fucking title that person has decided to bestow upon themselves lately. I feel like they don't need to engage in that, like, to speak ill on my city again, West Hollywood type of like gay bitchery, where they acknowledge it and keep like poking it.
Well, it's also this thing too. Everyone's like, "Oh, Raven needs her flower. She needs her crown." She's also problematic too with the weird color shit she does.
Remember her Jax profile?
Yes.
Crazy.
People might be surprised to know she's not a black woman.
Oh my God. And
it's
as
true.
far as I'm concerned, from the last number of years, apart from that moment I think I mentioned last week in the All-Star 7 premiere, Raven has been brought onto the show a number of times, but she hasn't been able to display any type of like level of charisma that she had in season 2 and All-Stars 1. I'm like, where did Raven go? They like, if she is in any way trying to be sort of propositioned as RuPaul's replacement, she's doing an awful fucking job of it, because she has never been as witty or fun or clever and interesting as she was when she was a contestant. And I don't know why. She goes on to those UK episodes and it's awful.
She is the end of Animal Farm. She is the pig eating at the table with the humans. So now she's already made it into the house and she doesn't want to rock the boat. I never watched this makeup show she had on Wow Presents Plus. Did you watch it?
No, I don't have that much time.
Any other big thoughts?
Next week's a talent show, and based on that preview, I think we're going to be treated with another fucking protracted conversation about why queens have to do lip sync numbers for their talent. I'm anxiously awaiting that, I suppose. But I did recently just watch the season 2 of All Stars premiere, where they had that variety show, you know, with Tatiana's number and Katya's number and Roxy's. Everyone just fucking, even Alyssa was doing a lip sync, but she did a very layered, like several different like story beats to the performance. Like it was, oh my God, it was so good. It reminded me, I think I even texted you this. I'm like, I think at the moment I'm remembering why I love this show so much, because like that kind of shit. And I was also watching a ton of Simone lip syncs. And, you know, I usually rail against younger queens and especially the recent seasons, but she's better than all that. And I just wish that we got that level of talent and power again from these queens.
I think I feel about Aquaria the way you feel about Simone. I don't think we'll ever see Aquaria on the show again. But I think her aged and seasoned and whatnot would be phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, and so the proposition of this episode was that all these all-stars who moved past the first bracket that they were in were supposed to show that level of glow up. And it sounds like the audience is saying, nope, they didn't have it and the Snatch Game was bad. But hey, I thought Cynthia was fucking hilarious and is definitely going to be the only thing I remember from this episode moving forward.
All right, very good. Well, I'm going to call it a day there because I have to go put old people to bed.
Work is work, girl.
I like it. I'll be honest with you. I've done the other
You're
shifts
single
where
working,
you like
working 2 jobs.
Yep. And then what's the other joke? And I'm a high class prostitute. Fancy's my name.
Yeah.
Robert, what do you have going on the next couple of weeks? Not a couple
usual
weeks, 1 week.
summertime stuff. One week. I don't know exactly. It's a little vague. Big times. Yeah. What about you?
All right.
Am I seeing you for your birthday?
Yeah, we'll figure something out. I'm going to see John Paul for my birthday. I'm seeing my cousin.
You know I ship you too.
You ship? That's gross. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week.
You don't need to be ripped. You just need the right shirt. Epic Fits gives you a clean, confident silhouette, snug on the arms, soft on the skin, generous where it counts. And with deals like $15 per tee, they won't break the bank. Visit epicfits.com today. Epic Fits, t-shirts that get it.